Hi, everyone. Welcome to our overview of the HVAC and water heating measures webinar from Emissions Reductions Alberta about the Energy Savings for Business program. I am Brittany Tran, and I'm the program manager for the Emissions Reduction Alberta team. Thanks for joining us today. I'm joined by Neil DeMello and Myron Sercantha from NERVA and Summerhill team. NERVA and Summerhill are supporting Emissions Reduction Alberta with the design and execution of the Energy Savings for Business program. Neil, Myron, and I will walk you through the ESB program and answer any questions you may have at the end of the webinar. Today, we'll begin with a brief introduction to Emissions Reduction Alberta and the Energy Savings for Business program. Then we'll review eligible HVAC and water heating technologies and touch upon program resources available to you before ending our presentation with a Q&A period. Let's get started. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions while supporting the economy benefits everyone. ERA's vision is anchored in the belief that our success is measured in both economic and environmental terms. Emissions Reduction Alberta has been investing in Alberta technologies and companies since 2009 to reduce emissions and grow Alberta's economy. Our investments help innovators develop and demonstrate GHG reducing technologies that lower costs, improve competitiveness, and accelerate Alberta's transformation towards decarbonization. We've worked across many sectors and have broadened our scope with the Energy Savings for Business program. This program accelerates the adoption of commercially available technologies that will help businesses cut costs and reduce emissions. These are extraordinary times, and the ESB program is one piece of the province's response to help businesses navigate the challenges they are facing. It's providing much needed economic stimulus to help get people back to work and demonstrate Alberta's continued commitment to being a leader in sustainable resource and energy use. We've developed a program that builds on the lessons learned from a variety of similar programs previously delivered in Alberta. As such, we know that support for small and medium-sized businesses needs to be streamlined and predictable in order to encourage participation. The program offers a simplified application process, quicker turnaround times, expanded technology lists, and clear, comprehensive information about eligibility. To reflect the realities of the pandemic, incentive payments are made electronically, and all program materials are made and available in digital downloadable format that can be easily printed by contractors or participants. We've received great interest in the ESB program so far. Since our launch almost a year ago, we've granted pre-approvals to over 1,200 projects worth over $23 million in incentives. Adaptive management has been key to the program. It has allowed us to pivot the design as needed to reach our desired outcomes. As a result, we raised the incentive limit for parent companies from $500,000 to $1 million. We also extended the ESB program until March 31st, 2023. All pre-approved projects must be constructed, and participants must submit their post-project applications by this date. Please carefully consider the time you'll need to finish your project, as we are not able to grant extensions past the March 31st, 2023 deadline. All projects receive a default completion deadline of 6 months. ERA will consider extension requests on a case-by-case basis for larger projects that may need more time to complete construction. We encourage you to submit applications. There's plenty of funding available, and standard applications can see turnaround times as quick as 5 business days. We're excited to support companies like yours, the ones that will carry out projects that will leave a positive impact on your clients, help save money, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions over the coming years. We have a comprehensive measures list where I'm sure you'll find something applicable for your business. With over 60 eligible technologies available, we have some great examples on our website of projects that other businesses have completed. The eligible measures list provides a comprehensive guide for all measure types, requirements, and incentive levels. You can find the full eligible measures list on the program website at eralberta.ca/ESB. I'm now going to pass it off to Neil to walk us through the program eligibility.
Thanks, Brittany. Hello to everyone. Thanks for joining us. The Energy Savings for Business program has been designed to be open to as many business types as possible. If your client can answer yes to all of the following questions, then they're eligible for the program. Are they a business or nonprofit in Alberta, excluding the ineligible facility types? Are they the owner of the facility? If they lease the facility, are they authorized to complete upgrades or retrofits? Is the facility used for commercial or industrial business primarily? Does it have a non-residential electricity account? Does the facility have an Alberta address? And Is the facility an existing building? Has it been in operation for at least 1 year? Ineligible facility types include residences, government-owned facilities, publicly funded institutions, including if you receive 50% or more of your funding from a public authority, industrial businesses or facilities classified as large emitters or opted into the tier regulation, and new construction. To establish sound expectations, we would like to share the path to success and what activities are required from contractors and participants. The first step is to register. This is required for both contractors and participants who are building owners or leaseholders. When a participant confirms an eligible project that they wish to proceed with, they will initiate the application process through the Energy Savings for Business Program portal and identify the eligible contractor they're working with. On their own or with the help of their eligible contractor, the pre-approval application is completed. We expect to be able to provide approval for projects within 2 business days. The participant and contractor can then initiate the project, purchasing and installing the eligible measures. Generally, the project must be completed within 6 months of receipt of pre-approval. Once the project is complete, the participants will update and submit the post-project application to reflect the project as completed. When the application is submitted, the participant will receive notice once approved. Participants should expect to receive application approval or request for clarification within 5 business days. When the final application is approved, the participant will provide some banking information and should expect to receive payments within 4 to 6 weeks by electronic funds transfer. Today, we're going to review the eligible HVAC and water heating measures, the requirements, the applicable components of the application process. Let's get started with the HVAC category. This includes boilers, boiler controls, heaters, furnaces, chillers, RTUs, air source heat pumps, VRF and PTHP measures, ventilation measures, and finally, pipe insulation. My colleague Myron will help walk us through these technologies and how they fit into the ESP program. Myron, I'm wondering if you could help me understand what projects would qualify under the boilers category.
Hi, everyone. Neil, that's a great question. So for boilers, we provide incentives to replace old equipment with high efficiency units. In terms of the requirements, the boilers must be Energy Star or AHRI certified, and they must have a thermal efficiency greater than 90%. The incentive value is $12 per MBH, and it is capped at $80,000 per boiler.
Thanks, Myron. I'm wondering if you could help me understand what project would qualify for the boiler controls, heaters, and furnace measure category.
Okay, so there are 2 types of projects here. So let's first talk about the heaters and furnaces. So for heaters and furnaces, you can replace old inefficient equipment with higher efficiency units. So this typically includes new condensing unit heaters and high efficiency furnaces. Alternatively, for the boiler controls, you can retrofit existing boiler systems by upgrading an existing dual stage burner to a new modulating burner, or installing a vent damper on the flue pipe of a gas-fired boiler or furnace. Please note that for boiler controls, heaters, and furnaces, the incentive values are based on a $1 per MBH value. We'll provide some more details in the following slides for the boiler controls and unit heaters, while the incentive for the furnace is just $1,000.
What about these measures make them high efficiency?
So great question, Neil. So condensing unit heaters or high efficiency furnaces are common technology these days. However, they do come at a premium price because of the additional engineering and higher grade of materials used. Boiler controls improve the energy performance of the boiler. So essentially, incentives from the ESP program can help these businesses to make these investments so that their dollars can go the extra mile.
To qualify for the ESP program, the new furnaces must have a minimum AFUE of 96% to qualify. For condensing unit heaters, it is required that they be located in conditioned spaces. The incentives for burner conversion to a modulating burner caps at 2,500 MBH. The incentives for installation of boiler vent damper also caps at 2,500 MBH. When applying for the incentives, you must provide the following: the specification sheets for all of the new equipment, the information that is included on the nameplate of the existing equipment. This includes capacity, efficiency, and age, the specific application the equipment is serving. For example, is it domestic hot water, space heating, or is it both? And lastly, the estimate of the annual hours of operation. Let's now turn our attention to space and water cooling. Myron, can you tell us what is eligible for this category?
Yes, Neil. So here we are incentivizing the replacement of old inefficient chillers and rooftop units with higher efficiency ones. The program will provide incentives for both positive displacement and centrifugal chillers, which can also be air-cooled or water-cooled. The chillers can be used in both space cooling and process cooling for a variety of commercial and industrial use cases. And incentives are available for chillers rated up to 300 tons of cooling capacity.
Can you tell us what the basis is for this efficiency rating?
Yeah, for sure. So chiller efficiency must meet or exceed the requirements of the AHRI 550-590 standard, which is all based on the IPLV value. We have classified the efficiency requirements for several capacity ranges, and the incentive rates are different for each category. So for example, air-cooled chillers with capacities between 50 to 150 tons are required to have an EER rating of 16.44 or higher. Similarly, for RTUs, depending on, again, on the size, we will require a minimum EER value. So for example, for capacities between 3 tons and 5.4 tons, the minimum EER value should be 12.5. These requirements, as well as the incentives for each type of chiller and RTU as a defined range, are outlined on our measures list.
There are a few eligibility requirements for this group of measures. The chillers or RTUs must be utilized as primary equipment and not as a backup. It's required that the refrigerant in service comply with all applicable codes and appropriate authorities. Chillers IPLVs rated kilowatt hour per ton must be less than the qualifying efficiency, and they must meet the relevant ASHRAE 90.1 standard. Rooftop units are required to meet the minimum EER value as specified in the measures list.
So when submitting an application for these measures, you must provide the specification sheets for all new equipment, the capacity and efficiency and the age of the existing equipment, be it a chiller or an RTU. For a chiller, the specific application the chiller is serving. So is it being used for space cooling, process cooling, or both? The manufacturer name and the model number of the chiller or the RTU. And finally, the estimated annual hours of operation.
Our next category of technologies provides both heating and cooling. They are air source heat pumps, variable refrigerant flow, and packaged thermal heat pumps. The incentives in the ESP program are helping organizations replace costly electric heating and cooling with these measures. Myron, can you tell us where these technologies can be found?
For sure, Neil. So both air source heat pumps and VRF systems can be found in any type of buildings. Typically, you'll see packaged thermal heat pumps most often in hotels or motels. That being said, though, there are no restrictions on the type of businesses that can take advantage of the program.
And what is the basis for the efficiency rating?
So the efficiency ratings can be found in the measures list. There's different values for the air source heat pumps, the VRF systems, and the packaged thermal heat pumps. In the measures list, we've also organized the incentive rates for each category and classified the efficiency requirements for several capacity ranges, which I'll go over in the next slide. So in terms of efficiency, it is required that air source heat pumps must either meet the CEE Tier 1 or Tier 2 for unitary heat pump, or the Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnership NEEP efficiencies for cold climate air source heat pump specifications. For the VRF systems, they must meet the CEE Tier 1 COP requirements, or they must be certified by the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, AHRI, as a VRF heat pump. For the packaged terminal heat pumps, on the other hand, they must be certified by AHRI, or they must be compliant with the NRCan Energy Performance Standard for PTACs and PTHPs. As a reminder, for this program, they're only eligible for installation when they're replacing electric heating and cooling. So they must be replacing electric heat and cool. When applying for these measures, you must provide the specification sheets for all new equipment. You must also provide the following information about the existing heating and cooling system. The type of heating or cooling system in place, which will eventually be replaced. Again, it has to be electric. The nameplate efficiency and capacity data, the manufacturer's name and model number, and finally, an estimate of the annual hours of operation.
Now let's turn our attention to ventilation. Myron, can you outline what incentives are offered for these measures?
For sure, Neil. So for ERVs, HRVs, and makeup air units, it's a prescribed dollar value per 100 CFM. For DCV systems, it's a prescribed dollar value per CO2 sensor. And for destratification fans, it's a prescribed dollar value per fan. To be eligible for the incentives, let's talk about HRV and ERV first. So you must meet the minimum effectiveness of 65% at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You must be compliant with ASHRAE 62.1. And to avoid any duplication, you must not be located, the HRV and ERV systems must not be located where there's currently DCV or temperature setbacks in use, or when there's a building code requirement or ASHRAE requirement for 100% of the exhaust air to be removed from the building to avoid cross-contamination. If your building includes condensing makeup air units, if your application includes condensing makeup air units, then they must be gas-fired units and they must meet the minimum thermal efficiency of 90%. Now let's talk about DCVs. So for DCVs, they must be installed in a constant volume HVAC system. The controlled space must be a minimum of 1,000 square feet. They must be compliant with ASHRAE 62.1. They must not be located where energy or heat recovery is in use, again, to avoid duplication. And they must only be used for previously non-controlled ventilation. Essentially, that means you must be adding new sensors. You can't be replacing old ones. Finally, for destratification fans, they must be installed in buildings that have space heating. The fan must have a minimum fan diameter of 20 feet, and they must be installed in buildings where a minimum ceiling height of 20 feet. Now, to submit an application, you are required to provide specification sheets and thermal efficiencies for all new equipment. The thermal efficiencies were applicable. You must also provide the capacity, efficiency, and annual operating hours for the existing HVAC equipment. If you're replacing a makeup air unit, you must also submit the manufacturer's nameplate data that shows the CFM, make, and model for the existing makeup air unit.
We've covered a lot of ground here, Myron. Thanks for your help with these. Speaking of covering a lot of distance, we're moving to the final HVAC measure, pipe insulation. Isn't it already a common practice to have pipe insulation, Myron?
You're right, Neil. It is a common practice to have pipe insulation. As such, the incentives from the ESB program help organizations improve existing insulation by adding layers to achieve a final minimum R value of 2.5. Organizations can also take advantage of the program to insulate pipes that are bare right now or that have damaged insulation. When applying, you must provide the specification sheet for the installation and ensure that the pipe insulation has a minimum R value of 2.5. In terms of the materials for the pipe insulation, they can be made from the following materials. I'll just read them out here. Elastomeric foam rubber, polyethylene foam, UV resistant polyethylene foam, mineral wool, fiberglass, polyurethane foam, rigid phenolic foam, cellular glass, or calcium silicate.
Pipe insulation makes for a good segue towards water heating. Myron, can you tell us about the measures included within the water heating category?
Yes, Neil. So this is a set of incentives for replacing hot water heaters for domestic use within commercial buildings by using high efficiency condensing water heaters or tankless heaters. Incentives are available, as I said, for both storage tanks and tankless heaters. Additionally, the program is also incentivizing water heater jackets where appropriate insulation can be applied to insulate the whole tank. The incentives for the water heater tanks are offered on a prescribed $1 per MBH of water heating, while incentives for the water jackets are offered at a set $1 per unit. To be eligible for the program, water heating systems must have a thermal efficiency of 90% or more. Condensing storage and tankless heater types must also be Energy Star certified. Lastly, for the water heater jackets, they're required to have a minimum R value of 6. When applying for the water heating incentives, applicants must provide the specification sheets and the Energy Star unique ID for the water heater tanks and the tankless. If you're replacing a water heating system, you must also provide the input rate in MBH, the volume of the tank if applicable, and the approximate age of the existing water heating system.
As we mentioned earlier, contractors carrying out the work on behalf of their clients must register with and receive approval from the ESP program per the program terms and conditions. Doing so will also give you an opportunity to guide your clients through the program journey as a value-added service. For guidance on how to register to the program, please visit our program resources page at eralberta.ca/ESP to watch the How to Become an Eligible Contractor webinar.
Perfect.
Sorry
Thank
about
you
that.
for that. So we do have one question that's up in the Q&A. Brittany, did you want me to read it out for you and then you can respond to it? So the question is, if the replacement, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say we just have 3 more slides left.
Oh, you do? Oh, sorry about
Yeah.
that. I thought you're done. Oh, sorry about
No,
that.
no worries. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, so wasn't quick enough to unmute. So yeah, we'll finish off the next few slides and then I can get into the questions. We have a resources page available. It's a great place to find various resources and additional information about the program. There you'll find things like the measures list, the program guidebook, application checklists, and a library of past presentations and frequently asked questions. These resources have been built to help you and your client complete the ESB program journey and receive incentives in a timely manner. To help you even further, we also offer an application assist service. So this service makes applying to our program easier than ever. Application assist has helped contractors and participants submit large and complex projects like multi-measure applications and have helped participants and contractors during their first application, making every future application smoother to submit. So here's how it works. First, if you reach out to our contact center team and let them know you'd like to connect with the application assist team, they can help you regardless of your application size or complexity. Next, the team will reach out to you to set up a meeting and help you build your application step by step. They'll walk you through your project, help identify eligible measures, and collect and organize the information you need using templates and resources. Last but not least, submit your application. At this point, you'll have everything you need to quickly and easily submit your application through the program portal, and the application assist team will still be available to answer any questions you may have along the way. And lastly, we wanted to give you a bit of information on our recently launched expanded technology pilot. So while the ESB technologies list is extensive, we know that Albertans are innovative. So that's why we've expanded the program to consider cost-effective technologies that are not currently on the ESB eligible measures list or do not meet the current requirements. So the new expanded technologies pilot is an extension of the ESB program and will allow participants and contractors to request funding for innovative technologies and projects. ERA is eager to learn about what these technology systems can offer, how they can achieve emissions reductions and cost effectiveness, and how they can be applied to other facilities. ERA may also consider these technologies for future initiatives. If you're interested, please submit an expression of interest. Your EOI should detail your cost and energy savings technology that's not on ESB's eligible measures list or does not meet the current eligible measure requirements. Our team will work with you to determine whether this technology is appropriate for funding based on a list of criteria. To learn more about this project, feel free to take a look at our website or get in touch with our project team. And now we can jump into the Q&A session.
All right, Brittany, so finally I'm going to start. You're ready. We have 3 questions. One of them is, if measures are not listed on the existing prospective list, is there any way to apply? For example, computer room cooling system with free cooling?
Yeah, great question. So that's a perfect spot for something like that to go into the new expanded technology pilot that we have. So you can feel free to reach out to us and we can always kind of set up a meeting to chat more about your project a little bit one-on-one and then also outline the process. It's more of a proposal, I guess. So you can propose whatever technologies you have in mind that don't quite fit into the ESB program. And then we can let you know if that's something that we'd be looking at or something that'd be eligible.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, are community associations eligible to apply for these programs?
Yes, community associations are eligible to apply. We do have a cap of, as long as you do not get more than 50% of your funding from the government, then you are eligible to apply. But we also have a form that you can fill out, and we can look into that a little bit more and provide exceptions. Or, you know, this past couple of years have been tough with COVID, so we're not taking any extra COVID funding into consideration and stuff like that. So if you aren't sure, then feel free to reach out and we can look into that more and chat with you about your specific situation.
Okay, and then last question, the replacement of equipment is a good first step, but if these pieces of equipment are not installed correctly or maintained, then they will not continue their high performance. Have you considered incentivizing the good maintenance of boilers? Water treatment, cleaning of FCU, for example, can prevent boiler performance and system performance from decreasing by 10 to 15%. So will ERA consider the wider system rather than just pieces of equipment without considering how they fit together?
Yeah,
maybe I'll let Myron take the first stab at this one.
Hi, Brittany. Yeah, that's a great question. So we fully agree that good maintenance of equipment can definitely improve energy performance and actually prevent energy performance from declining. For the ESB program, it is a capital upgrades program. So we only do fund actual incentives on purchases of capital equipment. In potentially future iterations of the program, if there ever is one, then we can look at those kinds of things. But for the ESB program right now, it is just capital upgrades that we do fund.
Okay, and there's somebody on the chat that said they're having difficulty with the web search. So can you put up the link again? If one of you can put it in the chat or on your screen, that would be great.
The link for our website? Yeah, we can put that up.
And I just did want to make a point actually about the application assist service. So for example, last week we had a call that came in from an HVAC contractor who was replacing all the boilers in a hotel. So we were happy to work with them and fill out their application, and they were able to get the hotel quite a lot in incentives back. So if you're doing any HVAC project at all, in Alberta, we really want you to apply to the program. So please reach out to us and we're happy to help build your application for you. And get as many projects submitted, and then your customers can receive incentives. Okay,
perfect. So thank you, Myron, Neil, and Brittany. This ends our presentation for today.
I think we just, one more question came in.
Oh, one more? We have a custom build MUA, comes with pre-assembled VFDs, and we are having difficulty to get the specification of VFD. On the MUA spec, it is clearly stated that it comes with VFD, but we don't have a VFD specification. What can be done for this case?
All right, so just give me a second and I'll be able to answer your question. I just need to look something up for you and I'll be able to provide you with your answer. So on your makeup air unit, there's really two different categories. There is a constant speed makeup air unit, which will provide incentives if it runs between 1,500 to 14,000 CFM. And the incentive for that is $50 per every 100 CFM. Again, it has to be a gas-fired condensing unit and the thermal efficiency has to be 90% or more. Now, if you want to qualify for the increased incentive, then it has to be 2-speed or VFD equipped. Again, it's the same conditions. The thermal efficiency has to be 90% or more, and it has to be a gas-fired condensing unit. The incentive for that is $100 per 100 CFM. So my understanding of your question is you're saying your MUA is equipped with VFD, so it does provide multi-speed control. And if the MUA spec sheet clearly states that it comes with a VFD, then I think we should be able to accept that. But if you can just email us kind of the spec sheet, then we can look at it and let you know. I'm assuming too that the size range of the MUA fits within the required parameters. And it has a required thermal efficiency as well. You do have our email on the screen. So again, if you want to just send us an email, and just put in the question MUA eligibility question. Then our technical team can answer you right away.
So I don't see any more questions. So yes, I hope all of you found this session informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to HRAI. We will be sending a copy of this presentation. This session is being recorded. That will also be shared with all the attendees and the registrants. And with that, have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to make one more point. I realized a question came in from an email. So if you have finished an HVAC project over the winter, you can actually retroactively apply. So please consider that too. If you've done a project already in Alberta and it qualifies, then by all means, send us an email and we can figure out how we can get you in the program that way as well. So that's an important note as well.
Okay, great. All right, have a nice afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.